This video is about Odin consults runes in Valhalla until Trickster intervenes. If this myth excites you, please like the video, share it with friends, and write in the comments how it pulled you into the adventure. Part 1. Odin consults runes in Valhalla until Trickster intervenes. In the grand halls of Valhalla, the air thrummed with an ancient energy, resonating with the echoes of laughter and the clashing of swords. The mighty warriors, the Einherjar, feasted at long tables, their spirits undaunted by the weight of past battles. Yet somewhere in the heart of this divine stronghold, Odin, All-Father and Seer of the Aesir, sat alone in shadow, surrounded by the flickering light of a dozen midnight candles. Odin's one eye, glimmering with the wisdom of ages, focused upon the runes sprawled across the oaken table before him. They glistened, each line a whisper of fate, a piece of the cosmic puzzle that governed the realms. The runes were not mere symbols, they were the breath of Yggdrasil, the world tree, each stroke a testament to the trials and triumphs of gods and men. His hands, marked with the lines of time, moved delicately, tracing the runes as if they were living beings. As he deciphered their meanings, the atmosphere around him thickened with foreboding. A dark prophecy loomed, hinting at a calamity that could shred the fabric of reality itself. He needed guidance from the other realms, but more importantly, he required patience and clarity. Yet patience was a luxury seldom afforded to the gods. Just as Odin began to weave the threads of foresight, a familiar presence disrupted his concentration. The air shimmered, and with a burst of mischief that jarred the very stones of Valhalla, Loki, the trickster god, materialized beside him. His emerald eyes sparkled with mischief, and his lips curled into a smirk, a portrait of chaos painted against the serenity of Odin's solemnity. "Ah, Odin, consulting the runes again. What dark fate plagues you this time?" Loki exclaimed, a playful lilt in his voice. Surely the All-Father has more engaging fates to ponder than mere doom and gloom. Odin's gaze did not waver from the runes. "There are matters at hand, Loki, far beyond your frolicsome grasp. This is not a game, the realms tremble at the touch of shadow." Loki leaned closer, peering over Odin's shoulder, his curiosity piqued. "And yet, here I am, a beacon of chaos in your orderly world. Share with me, dear brother, the riddle you seek to unravel. Surely I can, how do they say it, lighten the load?" A soft sigh escaped Odin's lips, heavy with centuries of weariness. "Your lightning is often a tempest of mischief, Loki. The runes speak of an impending darkness, a foe from the depths of Helheim, rising to challenge the Aesir. We cannot afford distractions." "Oh, but that is precisely what I bring." Loki's laughter rang out like shattered glass. "A distraction, perhaps even an ally, if you employ my wiles." "Enough." Odin's voice thundered, echoing against the stone walls. The warriors within the hall paused, their revelry muted as they sensed the shift in the winds of fate. Odin's brow furrowed, his piercing gaze locking onto Loki's. "You underestimate the gravity of this threat. It is not a simple foe, it is a harbinger of doom." "And what if I told you that doom could be thwarted with a touch of audacity?" Loki responded, the gleam in his eyes intensifying. "What if we do not wait for the enemy to strike, but stir the cauldron of fate ourselves?" A silence enveloped the hall, thick with tension. Odin's heart raced, knowing the power of Loki's words. Yet he also understood the chaos they could unleash. "What are you proposing?" he asked cautiously, his voice a low rumble. "An adventure, a quest," Loki exclaimed, clapping his hands together in delight. "Let us gather the bravest of the Einherjar and delve into the depths of Helheim, where we might confront this shadow before it takes shape." Odin hesitated, his mind racing through the consequences of such folly. Yet a part of him, buried beneath layers of duty and despair, felt the stirrings of excitement. An alliance with the trickster was perilous, but in the face of an unknown enemy, perhaps it was the gamble they needed. "Very well," Odin conceded, a reluctant smile gracing his lips. "But we proceed with caution. You will not lead us into traps of your making." "Caution is my middle name," Loki declared, a grin splitting his face wider than ever. "Though, perhaps not literally, but I shall be the soul of prudence." With a decision cast, Odin summoned the Einherjar with a wave of his hand. The warriors, resplendent in their armor, burst into the hall, their laughter and camaraderie abruptly silenced by the solemnity in Odin's presence. "Brave souls of Valhalla!" Odin's voice boomed, filling the hall with gravity. "A dark force stirs beneath the earth, and we shall not wait for it to rise against us. We embark on a quest to Helheim." Excitement rippled through the warriors, their spirits igniting with the thrill of adventure. Among them stood Freya, the Valkyrie, her fierce beauty a beacon of strength. "What shall we face, All-Father?" she asked, her voice steady. Odin's expression grew serious. "A foe unknown, but the runes whisper of its might. We must be prepared for anything. Loki, ever the instigator, added, and I shall be your guide through the twisting paths of Helheim, where we'll dance with the shadows and perhaps charm the dead. Freya shot Loki a warning glance, but Odin raised a hand. Let us not underestimate the power of darkness, nor the lessons hidden within it. We shall honor our ancestors and face whatever comes together. With a shared nod, the Einherjar prepared. They donned their armor, forged in the fires of countless battles, and sharpened their weapons, the steel gleaming like silver under the ethereal light of Valhalla. Odin felt a surge of pride as he watched them, the best of the best, ready to dive into the unknown. As they gathered around Odin, the weight of destiny settled upon their shoulders. Each warrior felt the call of glory, yet shadows lingered in their hearts. They were not merely seeking to confront a foe, they risked awakening deeper fears and unresolved grudges. As the warriors stood united, the air shimmered again, this time with a palpable darkness. The candles flickered, and a chilling wind swept through Valhalla, extinguishing the warmth for just a moment. Odin sensed the presence of something more sinister lingering in the ether, watching, waiting. Prepare yourselves, Odin commanded, his voice steady. This journey will test the limits of our courage and our bonds. We must be vigilant. With that, they forged a path into the twilight, crossing the threshold of Valhalla, leaving behind the warm embrace of camaraderie for the chilling embrace of destiny. As they traversed the Bifrost, the bridge of light connecting realms, Loki's laughter filled the air, a discordant melody against the urgent heartbeat of fate. Are we not the bravest of the brave? Loki taunted, his voice ringing with the thrill of mischief. What fear do we hold when the shadows themselves quiver in our presence? But as they entered the vale of Helheim, the atmosphere grew heavy and thick, leaden with the scent of despair and sorrow. The land was desolate, shrouded in mist, and the cries of restless spirits echoing from the depths. Shadows danced like phantoms, swirling around them, beckoning them into the unknown. Suddenly, a rumble shook the ground, and a creature, born of nightmares, emerged from the mist. Its eyes gleamed like embers, and its teeth were daggers dripping with the essence of the fallen. A hellhound, massive and terrifying, stood before them, a guardian of the underworld. Who dares tread upon the hallowed grounds of Helheim? It growled, its voice a low, menacing rumble. The warriors braced themselves, weapons drawn, their hearts pounding with the thrill of combat. This is but the beginning, Loki shouted, stepping forward with the bravado that belied the danger. We seek the source of darkness, and we shall not be deterred. The hellhound snarled, lunging forward, and the battle began. Swords clashed against the creature as thick hide, and arrows flew through the air like falling stars. Odin stood at the forefront, casting spells that resonated with ancient power, while Freya rallied the warriors, her voice cutting through the chaos like a beacon. In that moment of frenzied combat, amidst the clash of steel and the howls of a creature born from the abyss, Odin realized they were not just fighting for survival, they were battling the echoes of their own past, the shadows of their fears. As the creature fell, the ground shook and the mist parted slightly, revealing a path deeper into Helheim, where the heart of darkness awaited. Odin knew this was merely the prologue to a far-grimmer tale. They were entwined in a narrative not just of their choosing, but of destiny itself. Bar 2, the descent into shadows. The path through Helheim twisted like the very roots of Yggdrasil, dark and gnarled, leading into an abyss that seemed to swallow sound itself. The fog clung to the warriors like a shroud, curling around their limbs, whispering ancient secrets of despair. Odin's breath came in shallow bursts as he rallied the Einherjar, the spirit still aflame from the victory over the Hellhound. Stay vigilant, he shouted, his voice resounding through the humid air, a lifeline in the thickening fog. We tread upon cursed ground, and darkness is a hungry beast. Freya moved to Odin's side, her fierce presence a shield against the encroaching gloom. What lies ahead, All-Father? She asked, the strength in her voice steadying the hearts of those around them. The rune spoke of a power that stirs in the deep. Odin replied, his one eye piercing through the mist as if trying to glimpse the future beyond. A force that seeks to consume not just the Aesir, but the fabric of all realms, and we will face it soon. Before he could say more, Loki's laughter pierced the silence, a melody of mischief and bravado. Oh, what a delight it is of the thrill of unknown terrors. Shall we dance with them, my comrades? He gestured flamboyantly, his chaotic energy filling the suffocating atmosphere with a hint of levity. Keep your wits about you, Trickster, Freya said, her voice wilbur fierce. This is no time for jests. Ah, but jests may be the very weapon we need. Loki winked, drawing a reluctant smile from some warriors. Yet beneath his playful demeanor, a shadow left his mind swelling with schemes that could either save them or plunge them into deeper chaos. As they pressed deeper into Helheim, the air grew colder. Whispers floated past their ears, voices of lost souls lamenting their fates, a symphony of sorrow that echoed through the chilling winds. Odin felt their weight, each wail a reminder of the stakes they faced. Suddenly, a rift opened in the fog, revealing a cavernous expanse lit by an eerie green glow. The ground was rugged and uneven, littered with bones and remnants of ancient battles. In its center stood the towering figure, draped in shadows, crowned with a crown of twisted thorns, a harbinger of doom. "Welcome, Aesir," the figure boomed, its voice a mixture of thunder and the soft caress of death. "You seek to challenge the shadows, to confront the darkness that lives in the hearts of men? Who dares speak so boldly in the presence of the All-Father?" Odin declared, stepping forward, his spear Gungnir gleaming like a star in the gloom. "I'm Hela, ruler of this realm, mistress of death and the forgotten," she answered, her tone laced with derision. "You tread upon ground steeped in your ancestors' failures. Do you not sense the futility of your quest?" "Futility?" Odin echoed, his voice steady. "We are not here to concede, but to confront the darkness threatening our worlds." With a snap of her fingers, shadows called round Hela, swirling and forming a legion of wraiths, their hollow eyes glimmering with malice. "Then let us see if your courage holds against the pain of loss," she hissed, her lips curving into a cruel smile. As the wraiths edged forward, their forms flickering like dying flames, Freya unleashed her spear. "Push forward, Einherjar, fight for what you hold dear," she commanded, the battle cry igniting the warriors' hearts in unison. The Einherjar charged, their battle cries harmonizing with the clash of steel against shadowy forms. Odin stood at the forefront, Gungnir finding its mark with deadly precision, each throw resonating with the power of fate. Loki darted through the chaos, weaving mischief and magic, ensnaring wraiths with illusions that sowed confusion among their ranks. "Fight, my brothers and sisters," he shouted, his laughter mingling with the din of battle. "Let us turn this stark tide with our own brand of chaos." Amidst the fray, Freya fought like a lioness, her every movement a testament to a training and indomitable spirit. She cut through the wraiths, her blade a streak of light against the encroaching dark. Yet as they fought, Odin felt a wave of despair wash over him, the cries of the lost echoing in his mind. "Remember those we have lost," Odin shouted, rallying his warriors. "We fight not only for our realms but for the souls whose echoes haunt this place." With renewed vigor, the Einherjar pressed on, but the wraiths were relentless, feeding off the despair and fear that lingered in the air. Each swing of a sword felt like a desperate plea against the suffocating shadows. Suddenly, Hela raised her hands, a dark energy pulsing around her. "You cannot win, Aesir," she bellowed. "For every soul you save, I will claim another." A deep rumble echoed through the cavern as the shadows coalesced into a massive creature, an amalgamation of despair, its eyes burning with a ravenous hunger. "Face your doom," Hela commanded, her voice a chilling symphony of triumph. Odin's heart raced. "We must focus. Together, we can bind this darkness," she shouted, rallying his warriors. "Freya, batter the strength of the Einherjar. Loki, disrupt Hela's magic." "On it!" Loki grinned, darting toward Hela, his energy crackling in the air as he summoned illusions to confuse her. Freya called upon the strength of her sisters, their spirits intertwining with hers, creating a golden aura around her. "For Valhalla, for Odin," she cried, launching herself toward the massive creature, her spear crackling with divine energy. Odin joined her, raising Gungnir high. Together, he commanded, his voice a clarion call. The warriors formed a circle around the beast, united in purpose, their spirits intertwining with the power of the All-Father. As Gungnir and Freya's spear met the creature Esmar, a blinding light erupted, illuminating the dark cavern. The wraith shrieked, fading momentarily as the light cleaved through the shadows. "Now, strike true," Odin commanded, channeling all his power into Gungnir, the spear piercing through the darkness like a beacon of hope. The creature roared, an inhuman sound that rattled the very bones of the earth, but the light held strong, pushing against the encroaching shadows. In that moment of unity, the spirits of the fallen surged forth, rallying behind the Einherjar, their voices mingling with the battle cries. Hela's face twisted in rage as the light encroached upon her. "You dare defy me?" she shrieked, her shadowy form flickering like a candle in the wind. "I will not be diminished." "We are more than you can consume," Odin proclaimed, his voice ringing with the authority of ages. "We are the culmination of our ancestors' sacrifices." With a final surge of energy, the combined might of the Einherjar and the Aesir erupted forth. Gungnir and Freya's spear pierced through the heart of the creature, shattering the darkness like glass. Light exploded outward, consuming the wraiths and the shadows that clawed at their souls. As the glow enveloped Helheim, shadows writhed and twisted, the echoes of the lost fading into the ether. Hela faltered, her power dimming, desperation etched across her face. "No, this cannot be," she cried, her voice a chilling wail as she was pulled into the very darkness she commanded. And then silence. The cavern fell still, the shadows retreating into the corners of the abyss. The Einherjar stood panting, battered but unbroken, their spirits ignited by the light of victory. Odin looked upon his warriors, pride swelling in his heart. "Today, we have faced darkness and emerged victorious," he declared, his voice ringing with the gravity of their triumph. "Let this moment echo through the realms. We are the Aesir, and we shall not be extinguished." As they celebrated their hard-fought victory, Loki stood aside, a contemplative look crossing his face. The chaos he craved had shifted into something deeper, an understanding of the bonds formed in battle, the strength of unity against the shadows that sought to divide them. Freya approached him, her expression softened. "Even you, Trickster, can wield power for the good of all," she said, a note of appreciation in her voice. "Do not squander it." "Ah, but where's the fun in that?" Loki winked, though beneath his jest lay a newfound respect for the gravity of their unity. As they gathered themselves, preparing to return to Valhalla, Odin turned to the horizon of Helheim, the mist dissipating under the radiant light of their victory. Yet within him stayed the knowledge of shadows yet to be faced, and the ever-looming threat that destiny had woven into the very fabric of their existence. The path ahead was fraught with peril. ## Part 3 Shadows of Fate. The ethereal glow that had banished the shadows enveloped Odin and the Einherjar like a warm embrace, but the All-Father's heart remained heavy with the knowledge of the deeper darkness that still threatened the realms. As they made their way back through Helheim, the air around them vibrated with a mixture of triumph and unease, a haunting melody that reminded them they were not yet safe. "Keep your weapons ready," Odin warned, leading his warriors through the cavernous expanse where Hela had once stood. "Though we have defeated our wraiths, the heart of darkness still beats somewhere in this forsaken land." Freya, her spirit ignited by the thrill of battle, nodded resolutely. "We shall not falter. All Father, I can feel it. There is still power lingering in this realm, waiting to be awakened." Loki, trailing slightly behind, couldn't he resist a retort? "Or waiting to ensnare the unwary. Perhaps I should lead the way, yes, a charming guide through the gloom, daring the shadows to come forth and play." His laughter, light and airy, contrasted starkly with the tension that hung in the air. "Enough, Trickster," Odin warned with a glare. "This is no jest. The very fabric of our fates is at stake." But beneath his stillness, Odin recognized the worth of Loki. A spark, it tempered the heaviness of the moment like fire against the cold. As they continued deeper into Helheim, the walls of rock pulsed with the dim, ominous glow. Each step felt like a heartbeat thundering through the silence, reverberating with the echoes of the lost souls that dwelled within. The warrior's breath hung in the air, visible like whispers of a long-forgotten past. "Do you hear that?" Frey asked, her keen senses prickling. The whispers around them grew more distinct, a cacophony of voices crying out in anguish, a tapestry of sorrow entwining with their resolve. "It is as though the very stones lament our presence." "Many have suffered here," Odin affirmed, his voice low and reverent. "But we shall honor them by our deeds. We seek to vanquish the darkness that has festered within, not just for ourselves, but for those who have been lost." Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath them, and the whispers transformed into a deafening roar. A fissure opened in the cavern floor, revealing a swelling abyss from which tendrils of shadow spiraled upward like serpents hungry for flesh. "Stand firm," Odin commanded, raising Gongnir, its shaft glowing with divine energy. The Einherjar took their places, forming a defensive line, shields locked and weapons prepared, hearts pounding like war drums. "Let them come," Loki shouted, his grin unabated even in the face of encroaching doom. "I've always wanted to tangle with shadows." From the depths of the rift emerged grotesque forms, creatures clad in shadows draped over skeletal frames, their eyes burning with malevolent fire. They were the forgotten souls, twisted by despair, forced into servitude beneath Hela's cruel dominion. Each shriek that escaped their jaws echoed with the sorrow of ages. "By the gods, we fight!" Frey cried, leaping forward with her spear raised high. She became a whirlwind of fury, striking at the first creature that lunged toward her. The spear pierced through its shadowy form, but instead of fading, the creature writhed, fueled by the anger of the damned. Odin followed suit, casting a spell of binding upon the nearest creature. The air crackled with energy as he unleashed a torrent of raw power, channeling the essence of the runes. They glowed bright against the bleakness, illuminating the cavern in a desperate battle for light. "Stay close," Odin shouted, his voice ringing through the chaos. "We cannot afford to be separated. Rally together." Yet the shadows came in waves, relentless and voracious. Loki danced around them, his laughter mingling with battle cries, casting illusions that baffled the creatures and turning them against one another. Chaos is the spice of life, he exclaimed, reveling in the absurdity of the battle. But even as they fought, Odin sensed a deeper dread lurking just beyond their reach. This is but a distraction, he cried out, realizing the shadows aim to divide them. They seek to wear us down to isolate us. Freya was locked in combat, her spear a streak of light amidst the darkness. Then let us show them the strength of our unity, she shouted, striking down another creature, her voice fierce and unwavering. As they fought, Odin reached deep within himself, focusing on the knowledge bestowed by the runes. He began to weave a spell, calling upon the spirits of the lost, those who had succumbed to despair and were now mere echoes of their former selves. "Hear me," he bellowed, his voice resonating like thunder. "We offer you solace, rise against the darkness." To his astonishment, the shadows hesitated, flickering as if drawn toward his words. For an instant, the cries of the forgotten mingled with the battle, a chorus of the damned seeking liberation. Odin felt their presence, their pain, and their yearning for freedom. "Now, warriors, embrace the light of our ancestors," Odin commanded, channeling the spirits into a radiant beam that surged from Gungnir, crashing into the horde of shadows like a tidal wave. The light tore through the darkness, illuminating the faces of the lost as they surged forward, breaking free from their chains. In that moment, the very essence of Valhalla and the honor of the fallen intertwined with the battle. The shadows rioted and screamed, their forms unraveling under the power of the combined spirits. Freya, fueled by the light of their ancestors, struck true, her spear piercing through the heart of the nearest creature, sending it spiraling into the void. Together, she cried again, rallying the Einherjar. "For our kin, for the realms, we shall not falter." But even as the battle raged, Odin felt the weight of inevitability pressing down upon them. "This cannot be enough," he murmured under his breath, feeling the familiar tug of destiny around him. "There is a greater power at play, a force that stirs beneath." As if answering his call, the ground shook violently, and from the rift surged a monstrous being, an entity woven from shadows, dread, and despair. Its form shifted and twisted, a horrid amalgamation of every fear, every loss that had ever existed within the realms. Fools, it roared, its voice a malevolent symphony that chilled the air. "You think to challenge me? I am the echo of every sorrow, the embodiment of despair. I shall consume you all. Stand strong," Odin bellowed, locking eyes with the beast. "We are the Aesir, we will not be consumed." Freya, her heart ablaze with courage, took a step forward, her spear held high. "Then let us end this nightmare." She called upon the power of her fallen sisters, their spirits rising as a radiant aura encased her. "For Valhalla, for honor, we will vanquish you." The creature lunged, its maw wide, darkness swirling like a storm. Odin, channeling all his power into Gungnir, held the spear with a fierce determination. With the strength of our ancestors, he roared, unleashing a wave of light that surged forward, colliding with the creature's form. As the two forces clashed, the cavern shook with the impact, and a blinding flash of light erupted from the point of contact. The darkness howled, shrieking against the purity of their combined spirits, and in that moment, Odin felt the weight of all their sacrifices, their hopes, and their dreams pushing against the entity. "And now, Einherjar," Odin called, his voice a clarion amidst the chaos. "Channel your courage. Focus on the love you hold for those lost, for the bonds that unite us. Let the light of our spirits guide us." Freya, emboldened by Odin's words, thrust her spear forward, the combined energy of the Einherjar surging into her. "For every life that has been extinguished, we rise. For every heart that is broken, we reclaim our fate." The light blazed brighter, illuminating every shadow, every flicker of despair. The entity writhed, its form twisting against the onslaught, but it was too late. Gungnir and Freya's spear surged forward, piercing through the heart of the darkness, unraveling its essence. "No," the beast screamed, its voice a cacophony of despair as it dissolved into the light. "This cannot be." In a final explosion of radiant energy, its shadows disintegrated, consumed by the brilliance of their unity. The cavern trembled as the darkness faded, replaced by a purifying glow that engulfed the realm. The whispers of lost souls turned into a symphony of gratitude, their sorrow transformed into echoes of joy. As the light faded, Odin and the remaining warriors stood resolute, their bodies weary but their spirits unbroken. They had faced the depths of despair and emerged victorious, yet the victory felt bittersweet. Freya stepped forward, her gaze unwavering. "What now, All-Father? What shall we do with it?" Part 4, The Rise of Shadows. The blinding light that had exploded within the cavern flickered, casting the remnants of shadows into a retreating haze. The Einherjar stood together, a fierce band of warriors clad in the valor of their ancestors, hearts pounding with adrenaline and hope. Odin gazed upon his champions, their faces aglow with the triumph of their unity, yet within him churned the knowledge of deeper fears lurking just out of sight, like the restless waves of the ocean before a storm. Though we have vanquished the darkness before us, Odin began, his voice a steady yet somber rumble. The shadows still weave their threads among the realms. Hella's power wanes but does not vanish. We must seek out the source of this darkness and confront it. Frey stepped forward, her spear still gleaming with remnants of shimmering light. Together, we have faced the abyss and emerged stronger. Let us not cower before shadows that seek to divide us again. We are the Aesir, we are warriors forged in the fires of battle. A roar of agreement erupted from the Einherjar, their spirits soaring like eagles against the azure skies. Yet an ominous chill swept through the cavern, and Loki's voice broke through the exhilaration, laced with a hint of mischief and concern. "Ah, but dear brother, the shadows have a way of returning when you least expect them. Perhaps they were merely lurking behind a corner, waiting to ensnare our unsuspecting feet." His emerald eyes twinkled with mischief, but the gravity of his words struck a chord. "Enough of your jests, Trickster." Odin snapped, his gaze piercing. Yet, beneath the sternness, he recognized the truth lurking in Loki as frivolity. Darkness was cunning, and it thrived on fear and despair. As they gathered their strength, the ground trembled once more, and the cavern wall shivered with a dark, foreboding energy. Odin tightened his grip on Gungnir. "Prepare yourselves, the shadows have not abandoned us." With that, a rift opened in the cavern floor, belching forth a host of twisted forms, wreathed in shadows that flickered like dying flames. They poured forth, a legion of darkness intent on reclaiming what they had lost. The haunting wails of the wraiths echoed, an agonizing serenade of despair that clawed at the hearts of the warriors. "Let them come," Freya roared, her voice cutting through the gloom. "We will not falter, we fight for every soul lost in the void." The Einherjar surged forward, swords raised, their cries a tapestry of fury and determination. Odin led the charge, Gungnir gleaming with the light of the fallen, the weight of destiny resting upon his shoulders. "By the might of our ancestors," he thundered, throwing the spear into the fray. The weapon soared through the air, piercing the first line of shadows, exploding in a conflagration of radiant energy that sliced through the darkness. As the shadows recoiled, Loki darted among them, his laughter ringing like a battle hymn. Oh, how delightful, a dance of death beneath the skies of Helheim. He conjured illusions that warped the perception of the wraiths, sending them spiraling into chaos as he led them astray. "Focus!" Odin bellowed, rallying his warriors. "These shadows draw strength from Ufir. Stand united, and we shall banish them." Freya and several Einherjar joined Odin at the forefront, their combined might a wall against the tide of darkness. As swords clashed against the wraiths, the cavern was filled with the sounds of battle, the sharp ring of metal, the shouts of warriors, and the cries of lost souls echoing in despair. But the shadows were relentless, their forms shifting and melding, the grotesque amalgamation of lost hopes and unfulfilled promises. They surged forward, cloaking the warriors in a veil of despair that threatened to extinguish their light. "Keep fighting," Freya shouted, her voice fierce as she struck down another wraith, her spear glimmering in defiance against the encroaching dark. "We bear the strength of our ancestors. We shall not yield." Yet, one by one, shadows began to peel away the strength from the Einherjar, their resolve waning. Odin felt the weight of despair creeping into their hearts, the echo of Hela's laughter resonating with the shadows around them. "Fight the darkness within," he roared, but doubt threaded its way through the ranks, choking their spirits. Loki, sensing the shift, flung himself into the fray, weaving through the darkness with a chaotic grace. "Oh, dear warriors, what fun it is to challenge despair," he cried, conjuring illusions that distorted the shadows, creating brief flickers of hope amid the chaos. But Odin could feel the tide turning, the shadows thickening and coiling like serpents around them. This is not merely a physical battle, he realized, his heart heavy with the knowledge of a deeper fight. We must confront our own fears, our own regrets to break these chains. Then let us turn our regrets into fuel. Freya shouted, rallying the spirits of the fallen around her, their whispers igniting a fire within. "Remember those we've lost, the bonds we fight for, and let that power drive us forward." As the Einherjar began to focus, drawing strength from their memories, the shadows recoiled, sensing the unity forming among them. Odin, filled with determination, raised Gungnir high. "With the strength of our ancestors, we shall forge a new path, stand together." The ground trembled as a surge of energy erupted from their combined might. The shadows writhed and twisted, drawn back by the illuminating force of their unity. The energy coalesced, forming a brilliant beacon of light that pierced through the cavern, scattering the darkness like autumn leaves in a storm. But from the depths of the rift emerged a monstrous entity, an amalgamation of every fear and sorrow, a grotesque silhouette that loomed over the warriors. Its eyes burned with malevolence, a swelling abyss of despair that threatened to consume them all. "Fools," it thundered, its voice a cacophony of pain and anguish. "You think to defy me? I am the embodiment of every sorrow, every lost dream. I shall consume you. Stand firm." Odin commanded, summoning the power of Gungnir. "We are more than mere shadows. We bear the legacy of the Aesir." The warriors rallied, forging a wall of hope against the tide of despair. Freya, emboldened by the spirit of her sisters, lunged forward, her spear crackling with energy. "For Valhalla, for our kin, we shall not be consumed." The monstrous entity launched itself forward, its maw gaping wide, the darkness swirling like a storm. Odin, feeling the weight of every soul that had come before him, held Gungnir with a steely resolve. "With the strength of our ancestors, we shall bring light to this darkness." The spear struck true, exploding upon impact, sending forth a radiant wave of energy that clashed against the entity's form. The cavern shook violently as the light surged forward, illuminating the faces of lost souls who had been swallowed by the void. "No," the creature screamed, its form riding against the onslaught of light. "This cannot be. I will not be vanquished." Freya pressed forward, her spirit ablaze with the memories of those who had fought before. "For every life extinguished, we rise anew," she cried, thrusting her spear toward the heart of the darkness. The two forces collided with cataclysmic fury, a battle of light against shadow. The cavern trembled, the echoes of the fallen soaring alongside the warriors, a chorus of hope and defiance against the malevolence that sought to devour them. "Together," Odin commanded, his voice a clarion call. "Channel the love you hold for those lost, let the light guide us." As the light surged forward, the shadows shrieked and writhed, but the essence of hope surged through the inner jar, igniting their spirits against the encroaching darkness. They pushed forward with newfound strength, the bonds of kinship encircling them like a golden cocoon. With one final thrust, Gungnir and Freya's spear pierced the heart of the entity, unraveling its essence in a blinding explosion of light. The cavern trembled, the shadows howling in agony as they dissolved into the radiance that filled the space. And then silence. The cavern fell still, the shadows retreating into the corners of the abyss, leaving behind only the echoes of the lost. The Ainur stood battered but unbroken, their spirits ignited by the power of their unity. "We have faced the darkest of nights and emerged into the dawn," Odin proclaimed, his voice ringing with triumph. "We are the Aesir, and we shall not be extinguished." Freya stepped forward, her fierce gaze unwavering. "But what now, All-Father? What shall we do with the shadows that still linger in our hearts?" "There will always be shadows," Odin replied, his tone solemn yet resolute. "But as long as we stand united, we will face them together. We must remember the lessons of this day, the power of our bonds, and the strength of